Hey everybody, picking up where I left off, trying to survive hydroponically on Mars.
Hunger
So here we are.
critical.
Ooh, hunger critical. Oh no. Alright, so we just made this transformer. Our battery's starting to fill back up. We are going to start working on the hydroponics, providing I have the resources to do so. So where's our resources? We are going to make a fabricator, that's right. Let's make that fabricator. That's a lot of scrolling. Alright. And the fabricator will go here. So we have some pipes. So the concept here is we're going to be working with like positive pressure. So what I'll do is I'll have a volume pump and a pressure regulator pushing air through this vent here, which will be pure CO2, and then a back pressure regulator and a volume pump pulling air into the filtration units from back here. And then we're going to line the walls with heaters and coolers, as well as a temperature sensor somewhere in there as well. Alright, so we're not very productive standing here waiting for this fabricator. Whoa, there. So let's try to find some quick... Oh, yeah, some gold. That's perfect. We're running low on it. Quick little task to do. So the next step is to sort of lay out the atmospherics and prep for the hydroponics, because you really can't have one. You can't have hydroponics without atmospherics. And I'm getting some dev console bugs. I can close. Also, we're super hungry, but I'm not going to venture much further from the base than where I am now. I explained how to sort of game the hunger system before. Of course, if you're ever really struggling, you can turn off or turn down hunger to a much slower rate. But the whole purpose of this video is to show that the 1.0 rate is challenging, but survivable with the current version of the game. Now, things might change, like in a few weeks, a month, even tomorrow. They might make the hunger mechanic weaker or more easy to be dealt with. But I figured if it doesn't change, this is probably a pretty good video for you guys to use. Now, at the current moment, potatoes, soybean oil, and wheat are kind of the only things that feed you. Yes, you can make muffins through eggs, but that's not something you're going to be able to deal with early on. A chicken coop is kind of an advanced project. Chickens are very finicky and annoying, and I actually don't plan on really ever involving chickens because of how annoying I find them to be. Yeah, maybe if I keep playing through this playthrough and have nothing left to do, I'll consider it. But alright, sun's going down, so pretty close west is where I had a nice gold deposit, and it might still have some gold left. But we got 52 gold out of that.
Health low.
Alright, so the hunger has kicked my health down to 75%. That's what it does. Gonna switch on my battery. So the battery's full and the kit is 3/5 full, which to my mind means that we're generating plenty of power. I can stop trying to conserve power by shutting things off, although I'm not going to be needlessly wasteful. Alright, so fabricator's almost out, and then all we need is a manufacturing board, and we will be set to go. Alright, so there's the fabricator. Manufacturing board. And pretty much the only things I'm going to use this fabricator for is to make the reagent processor, the microwave. There's a few items that are fabricator only. But otherwise, I avoid using the fabricator altogether because some of the recipes that the fabricator has cost more to make on the fabricator than they would on other benches. And given that information, I'm going to not use the fabricator unless I have to. Because I don't have a working perfect memory of which items are more expensive and which aren't. I know some are more expensive, and they could have fixed that. I actually could be wrong there, but last I checked, that was still the case. Alright, so this doesn't need to be a junction anymore. Alright, so we have a decent amount of resources here. I'm going to start on the hydroponics, or the atmospherics rather. So I'm going to make... let's see, I'm going to make 2 pumps, 2 regulators, and 2 volume pumps. And before I go any further, I'm going to need to eat some stuff. I actually have a cereal bar in my jacket.
Hunger, caution. Hunger, critical. Hunger, caution.
Alright, so one pressure regulator is going to be pointed upwards towards the outflow pipe, and the other one on the very opposite side will be pointing downwards towards where eventually the atmospherics will go. Eventually I'm going to remove the frames, so I need to put some pipes down so that they float. Then we also want 2 volume pumps. And there's other ways to go about doing this. This is my way. If you have a way that works, well, I don't know why you're watching this video, but if you can always draw from ideas that I have. Alright, so now I'm also going to need some regular pipes. And I'll leave those cooking for a minute. So this volume pump will push air, or pull air, or yeah, push air out the pipe. And this one will pull air down. So now that things float, I'm attaching pipes to them all. Alright, so that's attached. And then this here, I need some more pipes. I'll probably pause what I've got so far. So this vent is the inflow. So I need a T-Junction. So as you can see, each outflow and inflow has 2 different methods. There's a volume pump for each, and there's a regulator for each. The regulators will be on it all the time, and the volume pumps will be on some of the time. There's also some more things I need to add to this wall before I remove the wall. So I'm going to get to that. Let's see if I left any pipes out here. I didn't. Good. Oh, there's pipes over here. I don't know how they got there, but... Alright, so I also want some coolers and heaters. I'm also going to need some activents. Yeah. Atmospherics is a big project. So here's one heater, and grabbing a second one. just gonna throw them. Whoa, that's a big throw. Throw them over there. Alright, so heater and cooler each. I'm gonna arbitrarily pick a side for them. So put the coolers over here. And heaters over here. And so they float. You have to connect them up. Alright, now they should float in place.
Caution.
Looking around, it looks like it's pretty good now. I need atmospherics. Oh, there's also another thing I need. So first off, let's get rid of that frame. And I'm going to put a frame in here temporarily. Then I'm going to get rid of this frame. I can get rid of all the others, I think. I don't think I really need them at this point. Everything that is set up, I have set up. So let's just plop all the rest of the frames there. These will be, so all the objects that are attached to the walls now should float, and they do. Alright, so what I need that frame for is an active vent. And that way I can put coolant into the cooler pipes. So I'll put an active vent right there. Set this inward. Fix the power. Like that. And that way, once I have coolant pipes there, they're being fed. So eventually it will look like something like this, like a three-way. Junctions, T-Junction, corner pieces, and then I think 7 spots for radiators. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 7. So that's our coolant loop, and once this is powered up, it can draw atmosphere into these coolant pipes in order for them to work. Alright, so now that that's set up, I can get rid of this frame, stack the sheets together. I might want those later on, just don't need them right now. Leave them in a nice stack. Okay, so now I need atmospheric to the atmospherics, which means atmospheric kits. So 2 of these, and I'm gonna run out of copper after 1 kit. Copper. Alright, so I'm gonna put 1 filter down there, and then I'll just expand these frames out a little bit. I probably don't need all that much room, but whatever. I have the iron in the frames, the sheets in the frame, so might as well add them. Alright, so now that it's day, that's kind of convenient timing. Let's put these sheets away. I seem to have run into need of copper again. I feel like I'm constantly finding copper, and never have enough. More ice over here. So I'm trying to pick a new direction every time I leave the base. Could always use some extra iron. Not going to spend a lot of time mining out this iron. I want to get the what I'm working on done. One thing I can say is if you don't need a resource, but it's a useful resource like iron, you might as well tap it a little bit, you know, and then not, because trying to mine out every last ounce sometimes takes time. So now I have 40 iron from very, very little work, or 43 iron from very little work. And okay, so we have some lead here, some gold over here. I'll do the same with the gold. I'll get the low-hanging fruit here. Gold is just slower, but probably, that looks like copper over there. Then I'll expose some of the gold to the air so I can find it later on. See if there's any more gold around here for me to grab. It's probably enough of it. Don't want to spend an enormous amount of time mining a resource I'm not sure I need immediately. Gonna get some of the volatiles. I know the furnace is going to be running cold soon. And here's the copper we needed. Basically, I'm advocating for time well spent. Don't waste your time. You can waste your time once this project's done because you won't have a doomsday clock ticking over you like I do now with hunger. I have a finite amount of food, and once I run out, I'm dead. Unless I turn off hunger mechanic, and I don't plan on gaming the system like that. So then you can be more leisurely about what you're working on and how you're going about everything. But until like you're Watney on the surface of Mars and you have your potatoes, you should not waste any time. There isn't time to be wasted. Alright, so I know there's more copper here. I can see some of it here, but what I'm going to do is, because I have plenty, is I'm going to mine around the area and then expose some of this so I can find it later. Because I might have enough copper for what I need. About 150. And that way I can always come back with a mineral scanner and find the rest if I need it. Leaving breadcrumbs for my future self. Alright. And I'm going to move my iron in here so I can pick up some oxite. Well, that oxite really didn't want to be mined. Alright, now I have some oxite for the furnace. And it's nice to know that I have all this ice nearby, because it will mean I'll have plenty of water. Now, there is no thirst mechanic, which is probably a good thing, because ice is not a renewable resource at the moment. Eventually, there will probably be a way to make water through hydrogen and oxygen processing, probably involving a lot of power, I'd imagine. But that doesn't exist yet, so we gotta conserve it. Alright, so we have enough for that atmospheric unit, obviously. Alright, we only need one of these atmospheric units. One more. Whoa, that was a big old monstrous throw. And I'll just process the rest of this ore. And go find where I threw that atmospheric unit. I threw that into orbit. Hopefully not. Alright, then we have gold left. Do we have the heat for gold? Yes, we do. Alright, let's go find where I tossed that. It's dumb to throw it that hard. Could I really have thrown it beyond this point? Suppose I could have. I can always make a new one. I don't want to waste time searching for something that is not easily to find. What the hell? Alright, well don't do that, guys. Sometimes when you throw objects so far, they like despawn. Yep, I'm not going to waste any additional time on this. Maybe not despawn, but like entered the mountain, you know. The physics here aren't perfect, so don't give the game a reason to have... Oh, that's a really strange place for this air conditioner. It probably spawned in there. I definitely never put it in there. Drag this out. Now that I found it. See if the atmospheric unit bounced off of something. It didn't? Okay, so let's go make another one. I feel a little dumb for hucking it out so far. But we had the gold, we had the copper, we had the iron. It's just very, very wasteful to make two of them. Alright, I will walk this one over. And then we're going to need a bunch of pipes. So I'm just going to put these in line. Output. Nope, I need to put it back one more. Like this. Alright, filtration. There we go. Now we need to store gases. Meaning we need kit tanks, or rather tank connectors, 2 each, which is a little bit of iron. Light throw, there we go. 2 tank connectors and 2 portable tanks. Portable tanks take a little bit longer to craft up. So I'm going to store the gases here and here. Running pretty low on food. I'm going to pop one of these cereal bars into my uniform when I'm quite hungry. Alright, so I think this is the second portable tank. I only see one made so far. Boom. They pop out with a lot of force. So our battery up top is full, which is good, because the atmospherics, hydroponics are going to require some power. Right, wrench this down. I haven't really decided which tank is which. One's going to have water, one's going to have CO2. It doesn't really matter which one you pick, obviously. I mean, they're the same. But never switch them up. Alright. It's getting a little dark. So here's the one that will have one or the other. Okay, so now I need a bunch of pipes. A whole bunch of pipes to finish this off. We're also going to want some filters on this thing too, right? So we're going to need a CO2 filter and a... well, we start off with a water filter. That's given to us in one of the crates. But we're going to want a CO2 filter. So while I put the filters in, I'll just crank out some pipes. So we're going to need a lot more. Alright, so CO2 will be the first gas we filter out for, and water will be the second that we filter for. So the tanks aren't really in a good spot. They're kind of far from the outputs of the filters, but doesn't really matter. I'll make do either way. So now we're about to get hungry, meaning we're going to lose life pretty soon. I'm just trying to game it to give myself the most amount of time possible. Alright, that's enough pipes for now. Alright, so this is the intake. So this input here is going to be fed like this, and then I want a T-Junction here. Because one thing I want to add, and actually I'll put it down here. One thing I want to add is an intake vent, an active vent intake as well for getting random getting whatever atmosphere is around. So I'll have an active vent right there, pulling air into our system because there is CO2 in the air that we're going to need. So then the output here is our lovely CO2 that we're going to use for the plants. So we'll store that. And then we also want to feed the CO2. Come on, let me through. Feed the CO2 into these pipes here. So let's combine these pipes. With a junction. Actually, a three-way junction, maybe.
Health low.
Like that. And then we can fork this. So this waste here possibly has water in it. So let's connect the next filter to the waste here. And then I need some more pipes. And I probably should also eat something where my health gets too low.
Hunger, caution. Hunger, critical. Hunger.
Now, if I really wanted to game
caution.
it, I'd only take bites when my health was low. That's one way to really game the system, but I don't need to do... I probably don't even need to game it, really, in the first place. It's just, might as well, if I'm thinking about it. Might as well show that that's part of the mechanic. That looked like two pipes came out of there at once. Alright, I'm impatient, so let's go lay these. Put these down. Alright, so instead of connecting like that, because of where the outflow vent is, I'll connect it over here. So put a junction in. Corner piece. Make sure not to block the power input of the pumps. And now our input is perfect. Alright, so the way it works is this passive vent will pull from the back pressure regulator and the volume pump air into the filter. Then the filter filters out the CO2 into this tank, which also goes into these pipes, which then feeds back to the top. And then this waste here, let's see. So this is going to be water. So this will be another T-junction. And I'm going to need more pipes. Could have left it going, I suppose. While I'm standing around waiting for some more to pump out, put another cereal bar in our uniform. Alright, so this tank will have water in it. So what I'm going to do is run the water out like this to here, which will be the start of our hydroponics that runs all the way clear to the airlock. These pipes are like ants marching one by one. I don't know how many exactly I need, but let's call it quits for now at 11. So that might be enough. Alright, so then we need to make sure that this flows out somewhere where it will, and then this connects to the water tank, which it does. Alright, so now pretty much all the plumbing is done, which means it is electrical time, which means a lot more cable coils. Alright, so in order to power the hydroponics, I need to draw power maybe from here. That's going to shut everything off for a second. So let's continue the cabling. Alright. So we're drawing power from the same APC. I'm not going to bother with solder to make another APC. Eventually you can isolate the power that this is connected to. Honestly, not a very bad idea, keeping everything on its own APC, but I said that this playthrough wasn't going to have any compounds, and I meant it. So we're not going to make Invar, we're not going to make solder, we're not going to make Electrum or Constantin, none of that stuff. I'm not going to bother with any of it, because it's not necessary. They're all nice to haves, but I'm just doing the bare minimum. And then your imagination is the limit once you have this built, because then you'll be in a position to build and design however you please. Okay, so now let's do a T-Junction here. Bring that power down here and T-Junction this off. So now I'm actually going to flick that vent on, and it should be filling that up with atmosphere to use as coolant. Random atmosphere is obviously not the most efficient use. Like, there's much better ways to cool your stuff, but you know, for now, that's how I'm going to do it. Well, while I'm standing here, I might as well lay the cables down for the doors, and no, I'm all set. Got everything else. So I'm gonna drop my stuff. So let's drop Atmo analyzer in here. Oh, I must have left this on. The battery is empty. So put the tracker back. Take the battery out. Charge the battery. So now this has power. We need to get power to the other side, which is pretty easy to do. Just another junction. And that might not be exactly where I want the power, so I'm going to hold up on that for a second. Alright, so this, I have too many pans in the fire here. Alright, so now my Atmo analyzer is working. This has 2 megapascals of Atmo in it already. That's probably enough to act as coolant. So we'll put this away. I'm going to make the benches that we're going to want, which means hooking this up. Done and done. Alright, so here we're going to, on the fabricator, we're going to need to make a microwave, a reagent processor, and furniture. Where's furniture? There it is. So I gotta add gold and copper to this. Also switch out my battery. So at the end of this hydroponic hallway, let's call it, we're going to have a table with what we need to be able to make food. And I'm going to keep it indoors just for convenience use. You don't have to keep cycling through the airlock every time you want to eat. Ideally, there'd be room for storage down that way, but there just isn't room for that right now. So that's all I'm going to use the fabricator for. So I'm just taking all the resources out. So we're not going to need any of that resources. So what I wanted this for is to be able to put down the bench. Now it looks like I have some pipes that are blocking the bench, so let's just reroute the pipes so that it's not blocked. So that was our water pipe to the hydroponics. Not a big deal, easy to reroute. So I'm going to back the bench up to the back there, which is good. Alright, Mr. Pipes. Now, we're not going to be able to run a junction here because of the piping. I'm just going to run the piping through it like that. And then here will have to be a straight cable instead. And I'll manage to get power to power to the other side a different way. So let's grab that copper that's in here. And crank out some more cabling. So I could just run it, you know, I have copper, I could just run it all the way around. Just go the long way. If I was hurting for copper, I might not do it that way, but we still have 86 grams of copper, which is plenty to do it the lazy way. And it's only going to take about maybe 5 extra grams to do it that way. Sure, I need more cables than that, but I just don't like leaving things unattended for even reasonable amounts of time, just because I've definitely accidentally left things on running way too long before. Alright, so this is a little annoying, so I want to get it to the other side. I could do it raised, I suppose, and I'll just do it raised because I don't feel strapped for time, but it's still somewhat of a time trial, right? We don't want to take a lot of time making things too aesthetically pleasing because we can always correct this in the future. There's no harm in making it look nice once you're done. Flat and like that. Alright, so one filter is set. And obviously I'm going to need to branch that off too because I need to get power in there as well. So let's just go full ugly. Not worry about how it looks. Oh, I have more cables than I thought. That's nice. Alright, so that's got power. This we can then siphon from the cable we just laid. That's got power. Whoa. A powered cable jump. Now if we power this, we can siphon off from that straight cable to the rest. So we're pretty all set for power. So this will be a three-way junction. Three-way corner, regular corner. So now that has power. And then junction this off. And it's an ugly mess, as promised. It's just a functional ugly mess. Alright, so hypothetically everything is powered now, except for the table itself. Yep. Perfect. And all this stuff, whoops, that's not the tool I need. All this stuff will be outside of the walls. I'm going to put walls in here, so it's not like I'm going to see it. So although it's ugly, it will be hidden. And if you want to beautify later on,
critical.
Have at it. You know, I don't care. You don't even have to follow my design at all. Alright, so now that we've got that done, let's grab our wrench and wrench these down. Alright, so now this is power. Everything should. Volume pumps, I'm going to decrease to 1 liter. You don't want to be moving a lot of volume. Alright, so the back pressure regulator will back pressure at 105, will pressure regulate at 110, meaning we're always pushing air through the system. Alright, at this point I need 2 gas sensors. Cartridge, motherboard, kits, transformers, sensor. 1 for the airlock and 1 for the hydroponic room. Alright, stop. And maybe 2 kit lights. No super throws, good. You don't need lights. Obviously, you have a flashlight. These are nice to haves. One will be an LED. I don't even have a place to put the other one because I have no frame up top. So let's drop a frame. And we'll just have that be a proper wall light, which is brighter, takes more power. Tap into here. All right. Bright old wall light. All right, so this gas sensor, just because I've built this before, I know where it's going to go. It's going to go here. I know it's a kind of a strange place, but it's how it's going to roll. I'm not going to wire it up yet. I'm just going to leave it as is. All right. Then we need some IO logic stuff. So we need 3 IOs. How am I doing on time? 43 minutes. Alright. Well, that goes. Oh, I need an active vent too.
Jetpack low.
Ooh, a low jetpack. So let's find our active vent. Gold, iron, copper. So here's the 3rd IO, and then we're going to stop for a second because I want to get an active vent over there. I can always use my oxygen supply. Oh, we only have 26 iron left. We're running low on iron. we're definitely going to need some more iron before we're done, because the hydroponic trays cost a lot of iron. So this active vent will feed Atmo into our system. So I need some more cables to power that on. And we're ejecting it, aren't we? Yeah. Of course. Alright. So let's get the cabling first. While I try to grab the ingots. Yeah, we didn't end up really using a lot of steel. We could have just made a micro batch of steel, only 20, unless you wanted another backup battery. That's probably enough cables for now. So all we're doing is wiring this up. Normally I hate putting cables underground where it could burn out and you wouldn't know. But alright, so now that's sucking air in. We will need to turn on our filters. And then we need to passive vent here. So that's pulling air in, and if I check my tablet, there is CO2 building up in here. But there, for the moment, will be pressure building up in the exit pipe because I need to put a passive vent there. So let's get a passive vent on that. Really, iron's the last one to come out. That's painful because all I needed was the iron. Is this still on? Alright, so let's get that passive vent so our pipes don't blow. It takes a while to build up enough pressure to blow the pipes, but I don't like leaving ticking time bombs of that nature. That future me will have to remember or explode. Alright, so we got our passive vents. And I can leave this. One of the advantages of using these portable tanks is you can read the pressure without any
Health low.
additional bells and whistles. So I
Hunger,
can leave all this
caution.
on
Hunger critical.
without
Hunger
much issue
caution.
and just read the pressure like this. I don't even need the Atmo analyzer. So we're going to want to get, 10 MPa in there or so. It's give or take. It's not... Oh, one iron I forgot about. It's not really important exactly where you bring it up to. Alright, what's left? We need, I guess now would be a good time, and this is going to take definitely the rest of our iron, but to start putting windowed walls up. Construction walls, and I'm just going to let that craft until we run out. Walls are insanely expensive. Unreasonably so, if you ask me. I don't know why they're so expensive, but they are. So obviously this will be a windowed hallway. And it does matter that you have windows not just on the top, but on east-west orientation too, because you're going to need direct sunlight. So I'll just iron sheet these up. I'm going to avoid putting the glass down until I'm ready and done. But we're out of iron. Might have enough iron for a little bit of the temperature logic, though. I could probably find it in the darkness. There's, I'm sure, iron pretty close to the base, but whatever. Alright, so we need 2 memories, which cost no iron. And these memories are going to hold the max temp we want for our hydroponics and the min temp we want for hydroponics. So I'll put the logic away. Memory. And then we want 2 processors. So we're going to be able to do the temperature logic without iron, which is good. We'll just need some more cables. All right. Come on. Cable, 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 cable. Here we go. Alright, so I'm going to turn this around. Have a gas sensor face that way. And the way this is going to work is I'm just going to paste everything on the side here. Come on, all the way up. Alright, that's probably a good start. Alright, so first take one of your IOs, reader, and plop it down. And maybe get the labeler while we're here. Oh, the labeler's the other way. So see how our pressure's doing. We're at 1.7 out of 10. It doesn't need to be 10. I mean, obviously the tank and the pipes can hold more, but 10's a fine point. Alright, so we'll name this reader temp. Alright, so next up is maybe
Hunger. Caution.
the maybe the memory. And I might want to mine it out. So mem temp minimum, which is going to be the minimum temperature you want, and mem temp max. Now there's certainly better ways of doing this, but this is a pretty cheap way. So just Google 25 Celsius to Kelvin, and it's 298.1. So let's set this to 298.1. 298.1. And then Googling 35 Celsius to Kelvin, 308.1. So 308.1. And these are going to be your sort of boundary temperatures of when things kick on or off. So let's hook them up so that they can be used. And then we'll separate power out like we did before. So the top's going to be for power. Alright, so the next unit we'll have is a math unit. Power facing up. And it's going to be a compare. And then go ahead and slap down another compare. Let's move these sheets out of the way. And then we're running out of real estate here because we have this vent here. So maybe it's going to look awful, but for the sake of time, I'm going to put my batch writers over here. Alright, so then with these cables, let's power these up so I can start wiring them up. Getting power to this is not going to be that difficult, as there's power right here. Alright, there we go. Alright, so this logic reader will read the gas sensor for temperature. So 213, obviously it's absolute 0 right now. And then this first comparator, I guess we should wire him up a bit more. We'll say is the reader temp, and I should name these as well. Math min temp, math max temp, batch heaters, batch coolers. Alright. So let's get some more cables so I can finish this off. It's a little weird to do without Atmo in your hydroponics, because I'm going to need to turn off the batch writers. But alright, what this is going to be the reader temp. Is the reader temp less than our temp minimum? And it should be 1, because it is. It's negative 60 instead. And then that will read to a batch writer to kick on the heaters. And then this one is the reader temp greater than, and is it greater than temp max, which will be 0 because it isn't, and that would kick on the coolers. All right, let's get back to here. How much copper do we have? Alright, so we're going to need a little bit of copper and a little bit of iron. So I'll grab that now that it's day and I can see what I'm doing. Because we're pretty close to completion here. I'm coming up on my max allotted time, so I will cut this episode short and then upload the next piece in a different video. Alright, so there's some iron here. This might just be a solo node. Yep. I find that there's a lot of those little solo nodes, but that's not a solo node. And we still need some copper. I don't think I need too much. Most of what we have left to do is the hydroponic trays, which cost a lot of iron. That will cost 111 iron, and then the walls, which will cost maybe 50. So I need about 150, 200 iron more, which honestly is not that tall of an order, considering how plentiful and fast I get it. Already almost halfway there. So certainly this isn't like a veritable temperature. It's just hard-coded to 2 temperatures. You want it to stay either above or below. One thing to note, and I'll explain this more when I fully set up the atmospherics, is if your plants will convert the carbon dioxide to oxygen rather quickly, much more quickly than you can imagine. So the reason for the volume pumps is the volume pumps can be micromanaged or even automated sometime in the future to increase the flow of CO2 into your hydroponics bay. But what that will also do is it also will cool it because I'm keeping my CO2 outside. So the tank of CO2 will eventually reach the atmospheric temperature of negative 60, which is probably a good thing because your hydroponic farm will heat up. It generates a lot of heat. So introducing cold gas to it is a good thing. And if you're trying to scale this up, so I'm only designing this for 11 plants. If you're trying to scale it up, it's actually smart to try to figure out how much high flow you get into a room without freezing your plants. because unless you have a giant warehouse-sized, high-volume area set aside for your plants, they will convert the oxygen or the CO2 to oxygen, like probably a little too fast, like unrealistically fast. But you know, it just adds to the challenge, I suppose. So I think through this initial iron I'm getting, I'm just gonna drop my my trays down. Get the tray craft out of the way. And I think, yeah, this should be warm enough to get at least some of the iron through it, if not all of it. So I'll just start queuing up the trays, and we're going to want 11 of them. That's what fits. So I introduced enough iron in there for 15, so I have to micromanage it a little bit. Then the rest of the iron we're going to use for walls. So the way this is going to work is eventually when we have water, these trays will fill up.
Power low.
And be usable.
Hunger critical.
Power low, hunger critical. And if you really want, I would not advise setting trays up on the other side because you won't be able to walk around, but you could stack them. You could set another setup of trays up here. I just wouldn't put them over here because then you'd have to walk on your plants. I don't know, it's up to you. I just need one more tray. And I guess I stopped feeding it iron. Put the iron elsewhere. Alright, so this is the last tray we need. Now I'm gonna do the walls, which needs copper and iron, and glass, and sometimes steel. Alright, so we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more windows. But then we're also gonna want some walls. You could use iron walls. I just don't like iron walls because they have a very low pressure boundary. You could blow them out and lose the atmo in your base and then lose all the crops pretty easily. And the cost of using a few extra composite walls instead of iron walls is not that it will pay for itself. I can almost promise you that. Alright, so that's all the windows we need. I need 2 more walls. So I'm going to put 1 wall here. And we can also line the floor with walls too. Makes it easier to walk around. And I think we have the resources for it, so. Another wall. Another wall. Also just makes it look nice. And a little bit more structurally sound. Another wall. That's all the walls we need. Now we need some steel sheets. And I'm not doing the airlock. I can just weld some iron to finish off the airlock. If you want to polish off your airlock, feel free. It's not a big deal either way. But this hides all the ugliness. Enough sheets. See, it's really coming together, looking nice, right? All right, so that's our little control room, as I said. Man, I might actually swap that light out. Do we still have the thing up top? Yeah, we do, because that was extraordinarily bright for my super sensitive eyes. And swap the light out while I can to an LED. We can even change the color of the LEDs. I'm not going to bother. But it's doable. That will also save us power. So that's our hydroponic area. And I am a little bit over my time, so I'm going to call this quits for now. And next episode, we're going to polish it all off. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all next time. If you have any feedback, questions, concerns, etc., drop me a line, and I'll see you later.